I'm Grant.
And I'm Ben.
And this is the Actually Podcast.
You can find us at
Actually, the.real.actuallypodcast.com.
no,
Instagram.
it's at YouTube and
YouTube.
look us up on YouTube.
On the
Just look up
YouTubes.
Actually,
But you got to spell it wrong with a K.
yeah, with a K, and then the real dot, the real dot actually on Instagram is our Instagram handle.
That's a great handle.
And
Whoever thought of it?
So anyway, so how's your day been?
Oh my goodness. So good. So good. Speaking of, I was going to tell you this. I went to Elevate Coffee,
Yeah.
which, by the way, they never charge me the same amount for my drink. I always get the same thing. It's always a different amount. But
That's the kind of place you like to be at.
I have no idea what's happening. Like it's been as cheap as $2.07, and then
wow.
today I paid $3.50.
Still a good deal though.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. I just don't know what is changing. What's driving this difference? But they ask for tips. You know, they're very tip oriented, even with the credit card.
Yeah, coffee shops in general are very tippy people.
And I get it. Like I'm interested in tipping, but it's going to be sporadic because like I don't necessarily know that I'm going to tip a bunch every day.
Yeah.
But like,
So what's your general rule for tipping? What qualifies as okay, this is worth tipping?
I think tipping is like service industry jobs where somebody has to like provide you some customer service. There's some detail in the job that, you know, they should get paid extra for. Like, I feel like coffee shops, they can do that because those drinks, you know, it requires a lot of knowledge, but also like, you know, they vary day to day. Like depending on who makes them, they taste different, and so you want somebody to do a good job making it or whatever, so you tip them.
Yes. Well, there's a specialty drink. I guess that's what you're trying to say.
Right. I mean, it's just the same thing as at like a restaurant. You know, a good server like keeps your drink filled. You know, is friendly but not overly talkative. You know,
Yeah.
It's like everything's out promptly. You know, and in the right order and stuff like that. So same thing with a barista. You know, you want them to like put the effort in to make the drink especially good. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, no, that makes sense. You know, but so let's say you go into a Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
You get a soft drink. Oh, no, soft drink's probably wrong. I don't even know if they have soft drinks, to be honest with you. I'm sure they do, but sweet tea.
Uh-huh.
And a banana nut bread. Is that tip worthy?
I mean, yeah. I think the hard part is like when it's not like a server at a restaurant, it's hard to know the percentage. Like an Uber driver is a great example of that. Like, you know, the Uber driver is making a percentage of the fare, whatever you're paying or whatever, and then you can tip them on top of that. But what's the percentage for an Uber ride? Like, is it 18? Is it 20? Is it 22? Is 22 exceptional? You know, like I don't know where to base what's a good tip, what's a bad tip. I want to be a good tipper, but I don't want to be like a stupid tipper. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I just like there's just a lot of weird things around tipping that I don't think I understand.
Well, the same here. But I mean, when I started, you know, having to tip, it was always 15% meant was good.
Yeah.
And so somehow that switched up to 18. I think now 20 is probably more standardized.
Mm-hmm. I would think so, yeah.
Which I don't know if 20s mean that you're good or average, because 15 was always an average, and then you go up to 18 for good.
Mm-hmm.
And 18 was average, and 20 was good. And so I'm not really sure that tipping actually teaches anybody anything. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But because that's always how it's sold to you. But also, traditionally, a server would make less, and so the tips would be the
Actually, the method of payment, yeah. I mean, that's how we got paid in Indiana. When I was a server, I made like $2.17 an hour.
And minimum wage was that, what, $5 something? $7?
Yeah, at the time, something like that.
So that's how, and of course, and you don't want to think it's unfair, but that's how it was like, all right, your tipping was to help them You know, obviously a good waiter would make more, and an average waiter would make about what they're supposed to be, and a low waiter would be way less, or whatever. And so that's kind of how we kind of helped the society. Now, but I started working at places where I found out that tipping was like, for example, there's a pizzeria in Lexington that waiters got paid $10 an hour.
Oh.
And so then they got paid as much as anybody else, but their tips was above and beyond.
Interesting.
Which I think is probably more commonplace now than it used to be. Like, I don't think, like, for example, Starbucks.
Right.
That's a good example. I don't think they get server, I could be wrong, but I don't think they get server.
They get paid like
Hey,
a
they get
regular
rid of the person, so everything is above and beyond. And again, I don't mind. I mean, it's not like, what's tipping on what I get? $1 maybe? It's not a lot of money. But, but then you're like, what do you, like you said, what do you tip for, like, where you're like, where I tip, where's the balance? I'm like, when do you tip?
Right. Well,
So I go to Starbucks, I get a nitro with sweet cream. I'm just gonna put it out there. I don't tip for it. You want to guess why I don't tip for it?
because it's just coffee and cream poured into a cup.
Yeah, it's pre-made coffee. They don't even brew it. Well, I guess technically they do, but it's like in a keg, and they pour it, and they just put sweet cream in it, and that's it. Which, I mean, seems like if I were to order a specialty drink that required some kind of knowledge, know-how, yeah, I would agree with you. It would be worth a tip because it's something different. But on that, the other thing is like they have like a tip box, but now on the app, if you pay with the app, it's always like receipt and tip available. It comes afterwards. And so you kind of have this pressure, and I hate pressure to tip.
Well, yeah, I could see that.
With me or just in general?
Just in general, yeah. Like we had, one thing I don't tip on is carry out pizza. It's not going to happen. Like, I don't understand. I've done all the work here. You've made a pizza and put it in a box. And then, you kind of gruffly handed it to me and I paid for it and I left. So I'm not tipping on that. But like there are some to-go situations where, those to-go people are like working their tails off and they're boxing up the food themselves. Like a lot of like, even like Olive Garden where I used to work, the to-go people, they're the ones, they're putting all those things in all those containers, getting all that stuff stacked up and making sure you've got silverware and forks and knives and plates and cups and everything you need, like you're ready to go when you roll out of there, or you're supposed to be. But like at a carry-out pizza place like at Jets, they're not doing any of that.
No, they're doing just putting it in one box.
Right. So I don't tip for that. But we went to what's that place called with the golf? Top Golf for a friend's birthday party, and we had 3 bays, so of course it cost like $50 million.
Yeah.
And then you had gratuity built in because the party was so large or whatever. But then they still leave room for you to tip.
Yeah, I mean...
And so there's pressure to tip there because he's like, if you feel like I did a great job, you can put da-da-da-da-da on there. I'm like, I know how tipping works, friend. Like, off you go.
Another place that offers like tip that's I feel like is weird is Martin's.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, because basically it's the same thing. Like, you go up there. There's nothing special about it. You just go up there. You get your food. They come get it. I guess technically they grab your plate and stuff like that. But there's no above and beyond. Now, I don't know. Maybe that's not true. They do act as servers.
Well, sort of. They bring it halfway to you. Like, they call your number. You have to, like, raise your hand. And then for refills and stuff, you have to go up to the place and get your own refill.
Yeah, so I don't usually tip at Martin's. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Taziki's is the same way. They always ask for a tip too. But again, when does it become acceptable to tip when it's not? One thing I
wish that the service industry knew, especially people that leave out tip jars, and I learned this in the in the world of music, is if you have a clear tip container and people see change in it, that's what they think. They think along those lines for your tip. If you have an opaque one and like dollar bills sitting on the top, then people will tip on par with what's already in there. You know
Yeah,
what
it
I'm
makes
saying?
sense.
So if you have change in the bottom of your tip jar, then people are going to think, oh, somebody paid in cash and left the change. And if I don't pay in cash, then I don't have to leave change or whatever. But if you can somehow float the idea like all my tips are in dollar bills or paper money, then that will increase, I think, your tip amount.
I also think they only allow so much in there. So it's not like you have too much in there.
Right. Well, we like when I worked with a band, if anybody threw change in the tip bucket, I would scoop the change out and give it back. That was one of my jobs. Was, people would come up, unless it was a kid. Obviously, if it was a kid, you just leave it in there or whatever. But if like an adult walked up and put change in the tip bucket, then it was my job to scoop the change out and give it back.
What was the purpose? Just because it was
Just to
insulting?
tell them like we don't accept change tips. Like it's got to start with a 2 and end with a 0 usually.
Oh, gotcha. I don't know. It's crazy. So I get myself, and there's so much pressure and weirdness about tipping. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think.
Well, like in these bars when I was with the band, I used to take the tip bucket around. Like, so these people would be sitting at a table, 25, 30 feet from the band, like way far out there. And I'm taking this bucket around. I mean, the bucket would sit on a stool in front of the band, but then I would grab it at different points and like take it around and shove it in people's face and be like, you need to put some money in here. And people like,
it was your choice. It was my choice. It was
like, no, thank you. And I would be like, you don't like the music? Like
it's awkward.
Right. I just make it awkward.
I mean, I came here to eat and this band happens to be here. And
right.
Now I'm forced to tip
Exactly.
them.
But I mean, in all honesty, nobody just comes to eat to a honky tonk in downtown Nashville. Like they know they're there for live music,
I would, but I don't know any better.
You gotta tip the band if they're good. Which this band happened to be good, so.
So there's always an ask for tips. So what happened is I went to a place called Nectar.
Oh yeah, Urban Cantina, street tacos.
And this one's called Nectar, and they have like it's like trekking too. And they have like a little side business, I guess, that do like I don't know, like healthy shakes and stuff like that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So smoothies, I guess, mostly. So there's kombucha there, so I was like, I'll try it. And so I got that, and Elizabeth wanted a T-shirt, and it asked for a tip, and out of just I don't know, just out of
obligation,
habit, I tipped him. Hold on, let me get. And so because of this pressure to tip, I tip them, and I feel like it's not an opportunity I should have tipped for, and because it was a can of kombucha, it wasn't something they made. It was something that they bought that they resold to me, and a T-shirt, which again is just merchandise, and. I mean, when do you tip on merchandise usually?
That's true.
So,
fair point.
I don't know. I think it should be outlawed that they ask for tip on the receipt. That's just ridiculous. Like, I mean, I don't know how these people who can't adjust that or whatever make it work. I mean, that's just how their system is. But it just seems like it's a little bit like you feel pressured to tip for things that you obviously would never tip for. Is that
like T-shirts? That's weird. Now that you say that,
you know what that kombucha is?
Yeah,
in the refrigerator.
I thought you were gonna say in the back of the car.
It was in the car until I put it in the refrigerator. Which, by the way, someone came over and cleaned my office out. Have you seen it? You didn't see it? It looks good.
No, I was at church tonight, and you didn't invite me back to your office. So
well, you never invited. And we got 2 boxes out of that, which were supposed to come home. And they made it home. They just never made it out of the car.
I think I saw him in the back of the Pilot.
Yeah, the Pilot.
Mount Juliet.
In Mount Juliet, was geolocating us. No need, because we just told you where it's at. So what are things that you're watching right now?
Oh, man, I just finished my show, my most recent show, Castlevania.
How was it?
Okay, I'll say this. Like, the first 2 seasons, so there's 3 seasons. First 2 seasons were pretty cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very gory, but interesting. The 3rd season is weird. Like, I don't understand what the point is. But they really leave it. I guess there's got to be more seasons coming. I don't know. Or they're just going to cancel it and never make any more and just leave it where it is. But it's based on the video game.
Yeah, it's called Castlevania.
So it's based on the video game. So you're obviously they're fighting.
Did you play that? Did you used to play that game?
No, I was never have been allowed to play that game. But I'm just familiar with it from reading about it. He got scared of a box that's near his bowl that he just realized was near his bowl.
He's like those cats and his cucumbers.
Yeah, he's been eating away, and then all of a sudden he realized that.
So the first 2 seasons were good. Like, good story, good everything.
Oh yeah.
The third
very
season,
interesting.
like, is it like where each season has its own story, it wraps it up, or is it like
No,
a continuation?
that was the thing, is like the point of the show really wraps up in season 2.
I got you.
At the end of season 2, and I don't know why that season 3 was necessary anyway. They kept it going, and I thought it was going to be cool, and then it was just like super weird. But I've been trying to finish up all my animated shows that I had kind of left hanging. Castlevania was one of them. I had watched the first 2 seasons, and then started the third, and I was like, this is weird, so I hadn't watched it. I was like, I'm gonna finish it, and I did the same thing with The Blood of Zeus. I finished it, which also
I
weird.
never heard that one either.
And then what's the one with the dragon, with the kids and the
Prince, that's something Prince.
Yeah, Dragon Prince. Is that it?
I think so.
I think so too.
The kind of like crystally looking dragon, the silver one.
Yeah. And anyway,
It's actually, I like that show.
Yes.
I didn't finish it, but I do like it.
I am up to date on Dragon Prince, and it's really good, really interesting. I recommend Dragon Prince. I sort of recommend Castlevania if you're into like the anime or animated, look or whatever.
I'm all about animation. I love animation.
Right.
So, what got me into it in the 1980s, this guy named Don Bluth.
Here we go.
No, but
5 goes west.
5 it's American Tail. But it's
Trekking the National.
so I used to watch back in the day when Clone Wars was on. I think it was Clone Wars was on the Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. There's another show on the Cartoon Network I used to watch
Called
Young
Futurama.
Justice.
Young Justice.
Young Justice. So that's so I watched the first season and probably some of the second season. So no, it wasn't Last Airbender. It wasn't Clone Wars. It was the Korra.
Oh, Legend of Korra.
So it was on Nickelodeon. They must have been on Nickelodeon together. The Legend of Korra was on. And so what happened in the last 2 seasons of Legend of Korra and this last season, the second season of The Young Justice, is that they went digital. So they didn't show them on the TV. They showed them on the computer. It was a whole weird thing that they did. And I remember it like doing that, and it was just crazy. So I never finished Young Justice, the second sequence, and then it got canceled. So fast forward to now, and it's on HBO Max, and they added a third season. So they did a third season like 10 years later.
Oh,
so
interesting.
So I'm rewatching. I rewatched the first season, got past the second season where I've been, and finished it, and really good. What I didn't like about it was in between the first season and the second season, it's a 5-year gap, which you don't realize until you start watching it. And so then, like, all these characters you kind of fall in love with, there's some of them are in it, some of them aren't in it. It's just kind of this weird thing. It's just whole. So you try to figure it all out, but it ends up being really good because it all connects to that first season, and they kind of end that. And then 2 years later is the third season. So it's like 7 years later from the first season or whatever. So the first 2 seasons were made for kids, obviously. Like it was on Nickelodeon, all that stuff. And so I was shocked today when season 3 came on. People are actually dead, and they showed dead people with blood and all that stuff. It's like watching something like, and then going to the third. It's like almost like watching in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Watching the first 2, and then fast forward, you're watching the Deathly Hallows, and like it's just like dark and bloody, and people you love are dying and stuff like that, and it's that same thing. It's just super sad and weird, and I'm not sure if I like the third season yet or not. So anyway, it's probably one of the. So I would say if you liked Legend of Korra, or actually if you liked the first one, which they called The Last Airbender, Avatar: The Last Airbender, that you would probably like The Young Justice, because even though they're not the same stories or anything like that,
right?
It's the same kind of just great storytelling, great action. Those first 2 seasons are working together, and you're watching these, basically kids grow together. And, you're watching a team form, and there's betrayal and all this stuff. It's kind of crazy. So I keep mentioning it to you. You keep ignoring me.
No, I am going to. I just was trying to tie up all my animated
loose ends
shows, and Legend of Korra. I watched that all the way through, and it should really be called Legend of the Villains, because that's the only good things about that show. All the like good guys in that show, like all the protagonists, terrible.
I don't know if they're
except for
terrible.
Bolin.
I always saw like Asami.
No, like they're just not. There's nothing to them, and then like you have these villains that are like incredibly well thought out, like and just really interesting.
Well, the side,
And
the
have
side
like motivations and like really understand things. And the Asami storyline is really only interesting because of her father.
True.
And like that he comes back around in season 4 or whatever. And so it's just this weird like show where they're like, we'll just basically throw these good guys out there, but what we're really going to focus on is the bad guys.
Yeah, well,
Making
but
the bad
also
guys
the side characters are good too. So in my opinion, like Bumi and like Tenzin's family,
Yeah.
and they have like these little storylines that are interesting.
Yeah.
And his children, obviously,
Yeah.
especially the one daughter who can go into the spirit world and all that
Jinora.
stuff. I mean, she's almost like Aang in a lot of ways,
Uh-huh.
as far as like you see it was discovering. Then the second show that so Young Justice first 2 seasons you could watch with your kids around, so that's a
Okay.
safe thing. The third season you probably could, but there's some things that would be like more questionable about.
Okay.
So, if, like for example, if Gavin were Hannah's age, I'd be more okay with it. A show that you cannot watch in front of your kids, but I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. But there's a lot of cussing, a lot of gore, not gory, a lot of like blood and fighting and stuff like that. Was Harley Quinn.
Oh yeah. I'm
So-
tired of that storyline. I'm over it.
Yeah, you're talking about the movies.
I'm talking about all of it. Like
Okay.
I'm just like I just don't understand. DC is just wearing me out with Harley Quinn. Like I can't like the character any more than I already do. And there's just not like there's just no other way to tell the story. Like
Actually, I would disagree.
in the show.
In the show, because it's more about Harley Quinn's and her relationship. So, like for example, the 2 Harley Quinn movies that we watched were all about her relationship with the Joker and how that affected her.
Right.
And really, that was what they said it was, but it really was just a way to put a Harley Quinn character into the movie. Mm-hmm. In this show, it has that same like she breaks up with the Joker and all that stuff, so that's a big thing. But it's her struggle with it, and the person that's with her that helps her through it is Poison Ivy.
Oh, huh.
And so, whatever. If you don't want to take my suggestions, I'll wait until someone else suggested it to you, Elizabeth Mills, and then you can take it from there.
No, Young Justice I'm interested in. I'm just over Harley Quinn. I just need a break.
I'm just telling you, after you're done with Young Justice, just take it, just give it a shot.
Okay.
Because I think when it's got side characters too that are really
Right.
funny and well put together too.
Well, like you remember, I don't know, do you remember the show called Batman Beyond?
Yeah, it's really popular.
Is that
Yeah,
serious?
yeah, no, it was really popular. It was
Yeah.
like, it was like but it was like more of a cult following.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
people
I loved
like
it.
a lot of kids watched it.
Yeah.
but it was probably way too dark for kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I loved that show. But they also wore out the Harley Quinn character in that show. So like from every angle, like probably when Suicide Squad came out, I was like, maybe this character is gonna like come back for me. And then as of Suicide Squad, I was like, tired.
Well, I'm just saying that.
I'm worn out on Harley Quinn.
I'm just saying, you're just giving it a shot. Just saying.
All right, I think
So, another show that I think you should check out is called BoJack Horseman.
BoJack Horseman.
So BoJack Horseman is basically like so it's obviously a cartoon. The only thing I don't like about it is I don't like it when characters like say make them all humanoid characters. They're like animal and humans, and they all kind of coexist and live together and stuff like that. So that part's a little weird for me. But anyway, so the story, the basis of the plot really is a 90s TV star of like a Full House.
Okay.
So he would be like the dad that was in the Full House type sitcom, comedy sitcom in the 90s, who basically made all this money but hasn't done anything since. So he's kind of a washed up actor. He's trying to do his past, but he's got all these demons. And so all these, 6 episodes are not 6 episodes, 6 seasons, or how many seasons it is. It's kind of exploring these demons start coming out in different ways. So he's got a drinking problem, he's got relationship problems, he does things he's not supposed to, and it's almost a redemption story in some ways.
Okay.
It doesn't really never necessarily get completely solved, but it's, I mean, he's got struggles with his parents and all this stuff and all these, it's really interesting, really good storytelling. Just so, it's just weird in a lot of ways, but yeah. So
What's it on?
Netflix. It's a Netflix special, but it's definitely not one that you would want to watch where your kids could watch.
I'll put it on my short list.
You know what else you should put on your short list? Harley Quinn.
It's not gonna happen. Burnout.
Just give it
Burnout.
a shot. No, Burnout is stupid.
Burnout.
You can't be burnt out with a show. That's dumb.
No, the storyline. Burnout.
So you're not gonna watch Suicide Squad when it comes out.
No, I'll watch it. I just am like over it. Speaking of movies, what is the deal with the movies?
Well, that's the rumor is that when LA opens up, everybody else will open up.
When who opens up?
Los Angeles or California.
Oh, that's never gonna happen.
But yeah, it's starting to. California's starting to open up. Believe it or not.
Is it?
Did I just say that, or am I just making?
I don't
things
know.
up?
I feel like you're making things up. I've not heard that.
No, it's starting to open up. Like even the people I know from California are starting to get there. It's just take a little bit
Go to
more
the
time.
movies.
But I guess what I've read is the delay is because the movies keep getting delayed, so there's no new movies to show.
Right. Like when is Dune supposed to come out? I'm ready.
Well, Dune's gonna be on HBO Max, which also houses Harley Quinn, which you should
But
check
no,
out.
I want to see. I want to go to if Providence isn't open, which maybe even if Providence is open because it's kind of dumpy. I want to go to the Roxy and watch Dune. Like,
Yeah,
on
we
an
should
actual-
watch it at the Roxy, and then watch it again later. And while you're watching that, you should watch Harley Quinn right
I
afterwards.
can't watch two things at the same time. But
You can watch it afterwards, though. That's what I'm saying.
No.
So you should really give Harley Quinn a try.
You should bring the expansion pack to Machikoro to game night again.
I don't want to talk about that anymore.
Twice.
That's completely rude.
Is it?
It is rude.
Is it?
Yes, it's rude.
Is it?
Yes, you're rude.
Wrong.
Grant decided he's going to bring this new game over to game night. He brought this in. Listen, this is my time. How do I mute you? So Grant brings this game for us to try, and he brings the expansion pack. He doesn't do it once; he does it twice.
Never brought a game to game night. I have only brought my winning personality and my sense of humor.
You have been winning a lot.
And snacks. I've brought a lot of snacks.
You have been winning a lot lately.
I mean, I don't want to brag.
Did you won one of the Machikoro matches?
Yeah.
By the way, we played with the family yesterday. So, I used my same strategy. I won again.
The reds.
There's two strategies I use.
Yeah.
Let's get the reds early.
And
what's it? You know what the second one is?
turn the 4 card to last.
Yeah, just never ever do the second.
Never roll more than one.
I'm telling you, having that one die the whole game changes the game.
But what if everybody used that same strategy? Nobody would roll your 9s and 10s for half your red card investment.
Yeah, but when you got all the 3s, then it doesn't make a difference. So that's what I was winning on the 3s because everybody's kind of holding off on that 4 on the where you can roll 2 die, and so I just kept on nailing 3s. And I also didn't get the 1s and the 2 cards early, which I mean that's how Malachi was getting. So Malachi get all these. He'd have this pile of things, and he'd have to give it all to me because he could roll a 3. And 6s worked in my favor too.
Oh, the 6s came up.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can't. Obviously you won. You didn't use that same strategy. But you would try to destroy my strategy.
Right. Well, the idea is you've got to spread out those red cards. If they're all in one person, it's never going to go.
Well, once you have those cards, you need to turn over the.
Yeah. Well, and you've got to turn over the higher value cards earlier, so that you can actually use their benefits. That's the other thing about them, is that there's benefits to turning those cards over. We just never get to explore them because they just don't turn over till last.
It's also a game that it's like Splendor and all the other ones. Once it starts rolling, it doesn't take long for it to end.
It goes quick, but it does take a minute to get it going. But you can't play just the expansion pack of Machikoro. You have to have the...
I know. I don't know why you keep bringing it.
I don't know why you do that. I don't know why you haven't combined them into one box so we can play the expansion pack.
Because no one wants to play the expansion pack.
What we need to do is... What's that one game? It's not Avalon. It's the one with the window tiles. So not Sagrada.
Yeah, Sagrada. It's the window tiles.
No, not the one with the... It's the other ones with the little square things that you pull out of the...
Azul.
Yeah, that's fun. And Sagrada. I actually changed that. I want to play Sagrada next time.
Yeah, they're both down there.
That's what I want to play next time.
Well, there'll never be next time.
Why?
I'm not invited to a game night anymore.
That's not true. It's just because you keep bringing the expansion pack instead of the actual game.
We've already established that you're the one that brought the expansion pack.
I've never brought anything to game night. You have a specific car you have to bring on game night because it has all your games in it.
Not anymore. I used to try to bring my games in. It's watch cores right there.
That's the expansion pack.
No, it's not. I played it. That might be the expansion pack, but put it in there.
This is the game. It's not the expansion pack, but
that is the game.
It's super fun. We recommend, highly recommend.
Yeah, it was a winner. I want to play that truth. That where the 3 truths and 3 lies. You pick which one.
Uh-huh.
I like that game.
What was your... Yes. That's the one I was thinking of.
I think
your Kickstarter game.
I got a lot of Kickstarter games, but listen,
that's
another thing I want to talk about.
No,
like
you're under
like
the guy that was on
Ken Jennings.
Jen Kennings.
Your tomfoolery today about me talking about it being a Kickstarter game. I said that once, and then all of a sudden that's a big joke with you now.
What did I joke about? I knew it was funny because I said it, but I don't remember what
it wasn't funny. It was actually really dumb.
It was pretty funny.
It was stupid.
What were we talking about?
It was I brought Porkle to try with her family, and there were wooden tiles, and then they made this whole big deal out of it, embarrassing me in front of all these people.
It was me and you and Susan and Kelly.
Exactly. I mean, these are people that have higher regard and respect for me, and all you do is laugh at me.
But you got to admit that joke was, I mean, I landed that joke.
No, you didn't. It was dumb.
Which one of the beta testers for Quirkle?
Listen, I listened. The Trekking 3. Trekking 3, it was a possibility of coming out. And
Trekking. Trekking what?
Trekking 3. And so
Trekking Through History, I think is what the name of that game is.
But I showed you that it's Trekking 3. They even have it listed on the email as Trekking 3.
It's still going to be called Trekking Through History. It's just the third trekking game.
Exactly. You just made my point. The third one, Trekking 3, yes.
I know, but like the third Lord of the Rings movie isn't called Lord of the Rings 3. It has its own title.
Okay. Who cares?
That's what I'm saying.
But it's the third.
It's to be the third in the installment.
Actually, the Lord of the Rings, which you looked at it as a full set. I mean, I'm trying to think now. My brain's not like Star Trek 2.
Star Trek
2. The Wrath of Khan. Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. I mean, so yes, numbers and titles can actually work together, Grant.
Star Wars 3.
Let's say Star Trek.
Star Wars 3.
Star Trek.
Oh, exactly, because your argument falls apart in the Star Wars movies.
No, it doesn't necessarily fall apart.
There's a third Star Wars movie that's not called Star Wars 3.
It depends on how you look at it. I look at it
does not depend on how you look.
Yes, it does. Yeah, in the movie titles, it shows the Roman numerals on it. Star Wars, when it comes out,
right? The third third Star Wars movie is not Star Wars 3.
Star Wars 4 is the first movie that came out.
Right. So the third Star Wars movie that comes out.
Yes. So what happens? Listen. No, it's 4.
No, it's 6. The third Star Wars movie that comes out.
No. The first Star Wars. When Star Wars first came out, that's
not
4.
Star Wars 1.
It's 4.
Right.
Exactly. So
No,
what,
not exactly.
yes, it is. It is. Star Wars is the 4th. It's episode 4. And we know that because of what, Grant?
But that's what I'm saying.
What? Why do we know that it's episode? What was the episode
I said
4?
the third trekking game isn't called Trekking 3. Just like the first or third Star Wars movie isn't called Star Wars 1 or Star Wars 3.
It is called Star Wars. Yes, it is. Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace. It's exactly how it's done.
That's the 4th Star Wars movie.
No, it's the first of the. No, you're an idiot. It's a prequel. It doesn't make a difference. It still has a number. Just because it came out in different order, it doesn't really make a difference. For example, C.S. Lewis came out with 7 books. In the sequence that we read them, it's not the sequence they came out in. I mean, who's the dummy now? I don't understand what the problem is. I don't really understand why we argue about the number of movies. It's like Indiana Jones. You're right. Technically, they don't have Indiana Jones 1, 2, 3, 4. But there's Indiana Jones 3 would be what?
I don't know. I don't know this Indiana
The Last Crusade. Duh. The best in the Indiana Jones universe of movies.
What about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Oh, that's the 4th one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Indiana Jones 4. Who cares?
Indiana Jones. Nobody refers to it as that.
I just did. Well, I don't know what you expect from me.
Were you going to say something about the third trekking game called Trekking Through History?
I don't have a clue what we're going to talk about. That's just fine. I remember what we're talking about. But so one thing I want to, I guess we can kind of end it with this. My mom was really, when growing up, was really into Scrabble.
Oh, yeah.
And so Scrabble is this game. I don't know. You probably don't know this. We spell words on a board. And so the future comes, and the new version of Scrabble is called
Words with Friends.
Yeah. So everybody played it for about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. And then some people continue to play it. My mom was one of them. So she played with a group of people who have since passed. So I started playing to help. My mom had told me, she's like, well, she might not play anymore. And then my dad started playing with her. So I started playing too. So I started playing, which anyway, it got me thinking about like mobile games are so big. Mm-hmm. Like and some of them are actually quite fun. Mm-hmm. So there's this thing called Game Pigeon. You know what that is?
No.
Oh. So Game Pigeon is a bunch of like mini games that you can play against other people. Mm-hmm. So for example, they've got this cup pong is what it's called, but it's basically like the soda cups and the ping pong, and you're trying to get it into the other person's, and that's and like they have pool, they have all kinds of different things. So it's become pretty popular and stuff like that. So when you think about like mobile games, what mobile games do you play, Grant?
I really only play one mobile game, and it's called...
Oh, let me guess. Farmville.
I did... not Farmville. There was a different game. There was an app on the phone. I forget what it was called, but it's something about farming, and I went through a phase where I was like setting alarms in the middle of the night to do things, and I was like, I've got to turn my life over to Christ. So I got rid of that, and then I went to a dragon game phase, Dragon Veil. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I haven't heard of that.
But then I bred like all the coolest dragons, and I was like, this is dumb, so I stopped playing it. But of course, it's still on my phone. And then I played Words with Friends and Chess with Friends.
Oh, I didn't know there was a Chess with Friends.
Yeah. Little known fact, Jared will smoke you at chess every single time.
Is that why you stopped playing?
Yeah. I never won a single chess game. Anyway, it was embarrassing. But there was another game that I went through. There was a racing game I played for a while, and then now I'm playing a game called Homescapes, which is a little bit like
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Candy Crush. but for like people your mom's age.
Yeah, no, I know.
Women your mom's age. And then me. But here, there's another game. And I play this with the boys and we like it. It's called Wordscapes. Homescapes, Wordscapes. Wordscapes. I don't know if you've seen it. You've probably seen an ad for it if you've played any of the Scapes games. But it's like this right here.
Okay, yeah.
This.
Why you just put in that one?
Right here, like this. My kids will sit there and play this game with me. They love it. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is about the game, but they love it. And they love trying every kind of combination and everything.
My kids and I, when we get stuck at like a doctor's office, the game that we go to is Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel?
Cracker Barrel.
Is it that game that you used to play at Cracker Barrel all the time at the peg?
Yeah, you can. That's one of them.
Oh, there's multiple games.
Yeah, so they have different. Oops, so it has all these little games. Solitaire, checkers, memory match. And they're free. Letter blocks, which is like the one that you just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But they have the multiplayer, so you would do 2-player and play checkers.
Huh.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
So we did that. And of course, I forgot about it. And it's like one of those things like you get bored. You're like, oh, yeah, well, that game came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
that's how we are with Wordscapes. It goes and fits and starts when like the boys remember it. They'll be like, can we play that word game? I'll be like, yeah.
Sure.
And they'll sit on my lap and like try to spell like the weirdest words in the history of the world just by cramming letters together.
That's the same. I mean, I'm the same way. And so, it's like, but there's all kinds of little games here and there. And some of our board games that we play are actually in that form. Everyone wants to play them. So it's just
one of the games I like is when we play the games where you use your phone, but like it's on the TV or something like that.
Oh, Quiplash.
Yeah, like any of those games. Like, that's really fun.
We should do that with the Blumenbergs one time. Mm-hmm. Well, I thought what Elizabeth and I talked about, like, us doing it and then just invite people to, like, so I can stream it on, like, an app.
Mm-hmm.
And just have people just be at home and everybody just call together and have a phone call together and do it.
We could do it.
Like, me and Brittany could be at one area because the Blumenbergs in a different area. And
mm-hmm.
I thought that'd be fun.
Well, that's what I thought, like, House Party was going to be when we first started
the one time.
Yeah. But we only did it like the one time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Of course, it didn't take long for everybody to get over COVID around here.
I'm over it.
Well, you get over things.
Over it. Corona and Harley Quinn. Over it.
I'm just telling you.
Hey.
You should give it a chance.
Podcast over.
What? You're ending us now?
Yeah, that one's done.
I'm not done. I want to talk to you about this Harley Quinn situation.
No. Gotta wait till next week. We're just gonna be wearing the same shirts.
We might have to wait until Sunday.
Oh, you're pretty tired.
I am pretty tired. I'm like this. Still not over the day either.
Yeah, Sunday works for me. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da.